What is up, everyone? It's DJ Garcia, Ray Raymond Garcia, and today we are talking about what comics that I have, what ones that I've collected so far, and basically how I got into comics. I'm also going to give you guys like a little tiny review of each comic that I've read so far of mine. And this is the stack. This is all that I have so far, and so let's get right to it. In order to understand when I started to get into comics, we have to take you back to when I got into movies. Because it always started with film. You guys know how much I love film. And it started back in 2012 when the Avengers came out, because the idea of a shared universe had never hit me before. And I was like 12, 13 around that time, and I was just like blown away from that movie. And that's how I got into film in general, because of the Avengers. And because of that, comic book movies were just my absolute favorite. You know, every Marvel movie that came out, and then eventually DC started doing their own stuff, but it was always just for movies. And so every time a comic book movie would come out, I would kind of do research before the movie came out, you know, on Wikipedia, because of course they're based off storylines from comics that could have happened decades ago. And then 2014 came around, and then they announced Infinity War, and so I did my research on that. I found out about Thanos and stuff. He was in Guardians earlier that year, the Infinity Stones, and I just was blown away, and I cannot wait for the next Avengers film. So then we come to this year. You know, this year, 2017, is the year I really am starting to get into comics. I'm really starting to learn a lot more storylines. And so here's what I've been doing ever since the beginning of 2017. Like literally January is when I started doing this. Every day of this year, I would just be online, because I'm always on my phone, laptop, online. I would go on Wikipedia and just type in Marvel, and I would just go to that person's Wikipedia page and just read and just like try to memorize all these details and things that these have been around for like decades, the absolute longest amount of time. And so I have so much history to get caught up on. And so I would pick a character, even if, you know, a character I don't know, or even a character I do know, like Iron Man or Spider-Man, and I would just read up on their history, you know? Not even characters. I would learn about planets, I would learn about different multiverses, I would learn about artifacts, weapons, alien races, like literally anything within comics. I would just read on that Wikipedia page for like the longest time. And so my knowledge has increased. So then if you guys watch my update video, you guys know I was in Michigan over the summer and I got my first job. And because I was getting paid finally for the first time in my life, I started buying some comics. But I'm going to go in order in which I got them in. So I'm going to start with the very first comic that I got. The Killing Joke, it was just, I had money, and I got this last year in 2016 in April, because it was around my birthday, but I bought it myself. I was like, you know what, why not? I never had a comic before. Of course, this is like a graphic novel. So yeah, I got this, and it was just, it's a good read. And this was the first one. I bought it last year. It's been over a year since I've had this. The next comic I got was Civil War, and I got this for Christmas last year, so it's been almost a year since I got this. And I actually got two versions of it, because if you guys watched the Christmas video from last year, my brother got me one, and then my dad got me one.
Okay, it wasn't wrapped.
Why
it's gonna be funny, right?
Why are you holding it? What? That's what you got?
That's a different one than what I got.
It's the same one, ain't it?
It is the same one.
Paperback, and that's a hardcover.
This one just has the picture of the movie.
I showed you it the other day. Don't got the receipt.
They're from the same place? Oh my god. This is the other version that I got. This is basically the movie version, so it's kind of like bigger, and I don't know, it's the same story though. So I had two comics basically, and then this year happened in the summer, and I got my job, and I started getting money. I started buying more. And so when I first got to Michigan, this was before I started working at AMC, so I just had money. I had some money on me again. I bought Infinity Gauntlet, because again, the next Avengers movie is based off this storyline. And this right here is a pretty awesome read. Like, it just keeps going. It's not too long, you know, you can read it in a day. I read it maybe in like 2 days. It's pretty good. It's an amazing story. I can't wait to see it on film. So then I started getting my job, and then I found a comic book store in Michigan. I was like, sweet. So I went to it for the first time, and it is amazing. They have tons of stuff there. It's a really cool place. I really like to be in there. I went there multiple times, and I bought this. Why? Because I can. I kind of regret buying it, but it's kind of cool to have too. But this was really cool. It's the death of Gwen Stacy. Spoilers, I should have said that before. Whatever. And it was really cool. I was like, okay, it's a cool read, very short. This is like the only, you know, if you want to consider this a comic, This is probably the only comic that I got, the only singular issue. And then I bought Deadpool Kills the Marvel Universe, which is like the first comic to ever like make me laugh. It's a pretty cool read. It's pretty graphic at times, which I kind of like that. None of my comics before were not like really graphic, and then I got this one. And then I went out to buy Secret Invasion, which I have not read. So this is the one I have not read yet. I just haven't had time. The reason why I bought this comic is because it was recently announced at Comic-Con, because there's a movie called Captain Marvel coming out, and it was announced that the Skrulls, an alien race, is going to be in that movie. Basically, the Skrulls can shapeshift and become anyone they want. So right here in the back, this is Spider-Man, but it's not really Spider-Man. It's an alien pretending to be Spider-Man, except right now you can kind of tell that it's an alien. But if it wasn't look like that, it would look like Peter Parker, and it would sound like Peter Parker, and no one would know. And that's the problem. You can't trust anybody when the Skrulls come around. And so I was like, you know what, let's buy it, because they, you know, since they're gonna be introduced into the MCU, I mean, they could use this storyline in the future, and I'll be ready. So I'm gonna read it pretty soon. Then I bought Civil War 2 because this came out last year. It's very new. You know, I read the first one, and I think the first one's really cool, and this one's really cool because again, it was announced. I mean, not really announced. It was announced a while ago. Captain Marvel will be in the MCU now, and so that, or Miss Marvel, whatever you want to call them. I was like, cool, and it's actually a really good book. I read it in a day. The first day I got this book, I read it that day, and it was really good. I liked it. The artwork in here is what I think is the best. I really like the artwork and some of the pages. It's just cool to see superheroes fight each other. So then I got this, which is not exactly a comic book or of any sort. It's not a storytelling thing, but it's Marvel hip hop covers. I'm a huge fan of hip hop, and especially my brother. He's you know how I love comics and movies? He's like that, but with hip hop, okay? So Marvel did this like in 2015. They started doing these, and they would just take hip hop covers and replace it with their, you know, Marvel characters. So right here is Miles Morales with a Nas cover, which is one of my favorites. And then here's DMX, but with X-23. Here's Doctor Strange, but covering the Dr. Dre, the Chronic. And so a lot of cool stuff. I know like just about all of them. And so there's a really cool book, and I kind of bought it for my brother, except I'm keeping it in my room, and it's really cool because he knows the hip-hop side of it and I know the comic side of it. So then I came home back to Texas, and I got this. Black Eyed Peas presents Masters of the Sun. It was really interesting because I watched a video of them explaining why they did a comic and what it was. And basically it's like zombies and aliens and drug dealers and gangsters and rappers. You know, there's again some hip hop fluence in here, and I just told you guys I'm into hip hop too. So to have music and, you know, comic in one, it's really cool. And so I was like, Dad, can you please get it for me? And then he did. And I came home, and this has been here for like a few days at that point, and it was on my bed when I got back. And so I was like, yes. The reason why I got it is because I knew what the material was made out of. If you were to feel it right now, it feels so cool. Like, I'm a sucker for how like the paper feels. Like the comic could be cool, and as you know, the story was really interesting, you know, just hearing about it. And then when I finally got it and I was just like feeling it, like the paper that it's made out of, it feels amazing. Like, it's really comfortable to hold it and like just read it. And then the artwork is pretty cool too. It's almost like graffiti. And so, you know, it's art, so also kind of like a hip-hop thing as well. Then I started going to the comic book store here, which I've also applied for. I'm trying to get a job there. And I bought the Infinity War, which is basically a part 2 to the Infinity Gauntlet. Bigger, a lot more pages, but it's actually really good. So, we have one more book left, and I bought it yesterday on the 15th, and here it is. The complete Frank Miller Batman, which is just, I saw this and I just literally grabbed it and I was like, I'm getting it. Oh, look, it's Frank Miller. Again, I don't have many DC comics except The Killing Joke. The rest of them are Marvel stuff, even the Black Eyed Peas one. And I was like, of course, Batman's my absolute favorite, and it's Frank Miller. Big name in comics. He's just one of the absolute best. And it's actually the complete Frank Miller Batman. So these are the books that are actually in here. So I mean, it was just cool, and also it just, again, it feels good. Like, it feels comfortable. The material that the cover is made out of, I mean, and then you also got like a bookmark for it, and so I was like, I have to get it, and I'm gonna probably start reading it like today. So those are all the comics that I have. Those are all the graphic novels that I got. That is why I am into comics. That's how I started to get into comics. Thank you guys for watching this video. If you guys liked it, please give it a like. It would really help me out. Comment down below. Let me know what comics you have and what ones are your favorites. And if you want to see more on my channel, please subscribe, and I'll see you in the next video. Goodbye.